What's up, guys? We're back here at Archworld. Let's talk about some good buys, some good investments in the game of Archworld. This is all my personal opinion, my thoughts on the matter, and what I am personally doing. So, right here we have the Grand Archeum Processing Station. These things are currently on the North America server around 57 BSLT. This is really, really cheap because people are selling and leaving their lands in droves. So this is insanely cheap because it actually takes 50,000 Archeum to make a processing machine. The current Archeum price is right around 36 BSLT for a 10,000 bundle. And you need 50,000 Archeum to actually make this. So 36 times 50 comes out to a little bit over 100 and I believe 80 BSLT. So the real price, if you were to actually craft and make that processing machine, it would cost you approximately 180 BSLT. So when I see it down here for 57 BSLT, I'm like, that's a pretty good deal. All right, so also a thing to think of when you're looking at investments like this. How low can it go, right? So it could go to 0. 0 is the price that this item could go to, right? That's the absolute lowest. But the lowest price that is ever sold for during this panic sale has been $48 BSLT. Okay? So let's just meet in the middle and say the lowest it can go is 40 BSLT. Right? The possible upside to this, if the market starts thinking rationally and realizing like, hey, to make one of these things, it costs 180 BSLT. That means this could potentially go up 120 BSLT in value. If Archeum price goes up higher too, this also in theory should go up more. This also serves another purpose. This will actually make Archeum in houses. So we're going to go ahead and pick up some of these guys. And I'm going to pick up a specific amount of these machines that I need for my houses. So I purchased 4 medium houses the other day. And so that means we need 12 of these guys to function at fully optimal levels. So we're going to go ahead and purchase 12 of these machines. And once we get those houses up and running, these machines will be functioning. And we paid a really, really small amount of BSLT for these things. So this is the number one thing that I am investing in right now. There's also blue versions of these. So rare, same thing. These things cost a lot of BSLT to make. These things cost 150,000 BSLT. And so 50,000 cost, 180. So you times that by 3, that's 540. So the profit margins on these guys aren't as great, really. Like, you're investing 305, which the max that you can kind of win out of this is 540 at this current price. And they can actually go down a lot lower. 300, can go to 0 in theory. But the lowest price these things have been has been about like 250. So in the last 2 weeks, it looks like about 275. Before that, I think there was some at like 250. I did purchase some of these as well. But again, you want to utilize these as well. You don't want to just have them for investments. You want to utilize them also while letting them appreciate in value. Once more and more people start going back to houses and realizing like, hey, houses are very profitable and you can make a lot of money off of simply clicking buttons if you have boats and Lumina, which if you're playing the game, you're going to need boats and you're going to upgrade your boat anyway. But you don't need to have 10 houses, right? If you're playing the game, you're going to have one super upgraded clipper, or you're going to have one super upgraded fishing boat. You're going to have one super upgraded warship, potentially, right? If you're in a guild or a group or a party. So when you have one of these things, you're going to need one house to function. The game, I think, is moving away from land barons and trying to get more active players owning land. They don't want someone to have 200 lands and click, click, farm, click, click, farm, click. They don't want that, it looks like. So with this new system, it works out better for a human player who's playing the game and upgrading their clipper, upgrading their warship and their boats, etc., to have one, maybe two lands, and then you get to utilize the clipper when you're playing the game, and then when you're not playing the game, you can utilize it on your land and earn blue archeum and other materials. So beds are the same kind of thing. Beds are also very cheap. So just like the archeum processing machine, they are 300 BSLT for a blue one. It currently would cost 540 BSLT to create one yourself, because once again it costs 150,000 archeum. So this is a pretty good buy. And if I needed more beds, I would be buying beds, putting them in my large houses, and hoping for these things to go up in value. Obviously, investing is risky and things can go down. These can go to zero. But I think these are great opportunities, especially on the North America server. You'll notice that the beds are a lot more expensive than the green archeum processing machines. We bought those guys for 57. A green bed is more correctly priced here at 95. Because they're like, hey, wait, the green bed actually just produces money and makes labor potions, and you can just, get 3 to 4 BSLT off of that labor potion. Like, why are the beds so cheap? So labor potion is down to 2.8 right now. But everything goes in cycles as well, too. So this is a downtrend. This is what everyone is fearful. Everyone is scared. The game is dying. The game is not doing well, right? But I think the game is doing just fine. And I think the rebound will be very, very intense on some of these items. The green processing machines, I think, is a great buy. There's also weapons and armors. So you really have to go shopping and look for great deals on weapons and armors. If you are a new player to the game, I highly recommend that you grab some blue salts and pick up some of these great deals for weapons and armors. Some of these things, you have to feed tens of thousands of archeum into these things, into these weapons and armors. So like to get up to this rare level on the tier 4 cap here, they had to feed it at least 25,000 archeum. And it's selling for only 59 BSLT. It's also a +1. Right here you have a +2. So you can find a lot of good gear, some bonus stats that are green or blue, some pluses. Like here's a +3 right here. Like there's so many items for sale that there's going to be some incredibly good deals up for sale. Like here, this is a purple jerkin. So the purple jerkin required 75,000 archeum to make to purple status. Like that is insane. And here's another one. Actually, no. Okay, it only takes 7,500. My bad. Not 75. It takes 7,500 archeum. All right, I added a 0 on there. So scratch that. Not as amazing, but still. 7,500 plus other mats to get up to tier 5 or tier 4. It is a really, really good deal. Now down here you have your heroic one. And this one, you add up that one, it takes around 20,000 archeum. Correct numbers. I did that correct this time, because if you look at the jerkin here, you're going to have to fill that up. So that's another 12,000 right there, XP. And then all the prior XP. So you're looking at close to 20,000 archeum to make this. So this is actually cheaper to buy just off of the archeum than it is to make. And it's a +3. And it has some decent bonus stats as well. 2 greens on the bonus stats is pretty good. So shopping is one of my favorite pastimes, especially in MMORPG like this, because you can find some insanely good deals. And you might be able to flip them later or utilize them yourself and then sell them when you are done with them, right? Same thing happens with tier 5. And then on Asia, it also happens with tier 6. There's some amazing good deals, tier 6 weapons and armors on the Asian server. So if you are a super whale and you are looking to play Archworld and you're like, hey, this game looks cool, this game looks fun, the best way to do it would be to buy the tier 6 weapons and armor on the Asian server and either play on the Asian server if you want to play on Asia, or if you are a North America, South America player, you could buy them on the Asian server and then transfer them over with the NFT transfer system and bring them into America. It is cheaper to buy them than it is to make them. And it is almost always like that because people don't factor in the time, the energy. They don't factor in all the resources that it takes to actually make these things. And when you're doing, everyone's playing the game, right? So everyone's putting all their resources and putting it into this thing. And then when someone leaves or quits, they're like, okay, I want to sell. Well, if I'm playing the game and I got my character here, I'm already trying to make my tier 6, right? So I've built my staff up. I'm like, yeah, this is my staff. I created it. I built it. I pumped it up with Archeum. And now I'm like, oh shit, it's not worth it to upgrade it. I should stop. But I've already put hundreds of thousands of Archeum. I've already invested time, sweat, money into this staff. And now I'm like, I feel obligated to upgrade it. But there's this other staff that I should just go and buy. Like, because it's so cheap, right? Like, logically, you should be buying your weapons and armors, especially in an economy like this, when prices are so dang good, when it's cheaper to actually buy them than to create it yourself. And you can look at it just based on the Archeum. Just the Archeum cost alone. So it cost me almost 1 million Archeum to upgrade this, right? So it's going to be approximately 3,600 BSLT just to get to max grade on unique, just in Archeum. And weapons and armor are selling for around 19,000 BSLT on the Asia server. A tier 6 weapon and armor around 20,000. That, once you get it to max out, it already cost me, well over 4,000 BSLT to get it up there. Because just the heroic alone cost me 3,600 BSLT just by pumping in Archeum at 36 BSLT, right? And before this level, this grade, it took thousands and thousands more of Archeum. So it costs, say, 5,000 just to get it to max level. Now, to attempt to bring it up to tier 6, we go over here and we take a look at the character scrolls just to attempt the upgrade. It's going to cost a yellow Shatigon heroic crystal here. These things are approximately 4,000 BSLT. So we already paid 5,000 BSLT to get it up to max grade tier 5. One attempt is going to cost 4,000 BSLT just on this heroic crystal. So now we're at 9,000. Plus this, which doesn't cost anything, it's dirt cheap. This doesn't cost anything, and this costs like 100 BSLT, so nothing really. But it also cost 200,000 Archeum. So that's another 720 BSLT, right? 10,000 Archeum is 36. 100,000 Archeum is 360. And 200 is 720. So this is 720 BSLT to attempt. And then you have 4,500 labor, which is a few. So we'll round this up to another 1,000. So you're paying 5,000 BSLT to upgrade. It costs 5,000 BSLT to get it to tier 6, tier 5 maximum level, where it can be upgraded. And now you have an RNG chance. You have, I believe, 25% chance of the scroll working and upgrading to tier 6. It may be 33%. I'm not certain on this. I have not attempted it. I'm not that crazy yet. But it's either 25% or 33%. So you don't even have a guarantee, right? And you already spent 10,000 minimum BSLT to do this. So if they're selling weapons and armor for 20,000 BSLT on the Asian server, that means you would have to upgrade this and succeed within 3 times. If you don't succeed within 3 times, it is cheaper to buy that weapon and armor over there. You also get the benefit of seeing what is the pluses on it. Does it have +6? Does it have +8? Does it have +5? Has it been upgraded there? You also get the benefit of seeing the bonus stats on the weapons and armor over there, right? Like, you can also try to negotiate with the person who's selling it. You can message the world chat and be like, hey, I'm trying to buy this. I want to buy it cheaper, right? It is way better to take the guarantee, in my opinion, than to attempt a 33% chance or a 25% chance RNG going to upgrade your weapon or armor, right? That's just my thoughts on the matter. I've seen a +8 weapon and armor over there for 20,000 BSLT. If I had cash on hand, I would be buying that stuff right now and transferring it over to North America. But part of the reason why people are selling this is so cheap is because they're dissatisfied with the high-end content. There is no high-end content, really, for players that have tier 6 weapons and armor. You can do everything in the game with tier 5 weapons and armor. You do not need tier 6 weapons and armor. So, right now, tier 6 weapons and armor is just a pure luxury. Eventually, they will add new content. Eventually, they will add stronger monsters that you do need and you do want tier 6 weapons and armors, that you do need to be stronger to fight these things, right? Right now, they don't have a reason really to exist. But in the future, they will. There's going to be new content. There's going to be new monsters. There's going to be more reasons to have gear. So I think when that happens, these prices on these weapons and armors will go up. They will not be as cheap. We've already seen, too, some people have bought and sold tier 6 weapons and armors for 30,000 BSLT. You know, that has happened last week, a couple weeks ago. It doesn't happen that often because there's a very small market for those tier 6 weapons and armor, right? But we've actually seen people buy them. You know, whether maybe they're transferring to an alt or a different server, who knows? Could it be? But there also could be someone who bought that weapon, who bought, you know, didn't want to take the RNG chance to try to upgrade and try and get there themselves, right? So if you do get that weapon and armor, it may not always be worth 20,000, or it may not always be worth 30,000. It might go down, right? It might go down to 10,000 BSLT. But even if it did go down to 10,000 BSLT, right? You get the fun and enjoyment. If you're playing Archworld, you're playing it for fun and enjoyment. That is the primary reason that you play any video game. So if you get fun and enjoyment out of it, and your item goes down in value, you don't really care that much. It does hurt, right? It stings a little bit if you bought something for $10,000 and then it went down to $5,000. It does hurt. It stings. You lost $5,000, right? But at least when it's something like this, when you're using it, you're playing it, you're enjoying it, your character, you get that enjoyment, that fun factor out of the weapon or armor that you're using. And it can also help you farm and earn more items and progress your character. Like, there's multiple facets here. It's not as cut and dry as, hey, I bought this for 20,000 and then now it's 10,000. It's not as simple as that. There's multiple different layers on investing into gear and things like that. And then on the off chance, there's always a chance too that the gear will appreciate and go up in value. But there's nothing like those processing machines. Those processing machines, I think, are incredibly valuable and underpriced right now simply because a lot of people have given up on land and don't think that land is worth their time or energy. But anyway, guys, this is what I'm thinking about investing in. This is what I did invest in this video. We did buy a bunch of processing machines. I believe 12 of them. I'll have to double check my math and check that out later in the future. But yes, shopping. I love shopping, guys. I am an economic player at heart. This stuff is really, really cool and fun, and definitely my bread and butter. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you got any thoughts, questions, comments, post them down below. Love to hear from you guys as always. I will see you in the next one. Talk to you later.